if you can call it that. I call it, according to Mighty Duke, inidan chimakumi, right? Bacchanal in the tongue, bacchanal, right? Woman bacchanal is the name of the song. I call it that. Y'all call it, some people call it press conference. Hey, what transpired? If you remember, let me refresh you quickly. Jack Dio, the vice president, said that. Well, let me start a little further back. Last Monday, when they had the convening of the National Assembly, right, the 13th Parliament, not National Assembly, Parliament, Azadin Mohammed, the leader of the We Invest in Nationhood Party, the largest opposition bloc, turned up at the Arthur Chung Convention Center in the controversial Lamborghini motor car. You know, all the story behind the Lamborghini, we're going to deal with it now. He turned up with that. And then he's reported as saying he turned up with it so that Jack Dio could see. Right? So that Jack Dio could see. Thursday press conference, Jack Dio, and this is what HGP News, Nightly News said. Vice President Dr. Barrett Jack Dio has laid the blame squarely at the feet of Police Commissioner Clifton Ikin, declaring that he will be held personally responsible for allowing Azuddin Mohammed uninsured Lamborghini to be driven on public roads. Speaking at his weekly press conference on Thursday, Jack Dio issued a stern warning to the top cop following public outrage over Mohammed's dramatic arrival at the opening of the 13th Parliament in the same luxury vehicle that is now the subject of ongoing tax evasion case. Jack Dio said so on Thursday. And we say that this is a dog whistle. It's a dog whistle. It can order the frequency of one of the whistles. Frequency of one of the whistles. So here what is reported here now. Here what is reporting. That is Jack Dio making a statement Thursday. On Friday, it has been reported now, ranks trail Mohammed's wife to impound vehicle after Jack Dio blames Ikin for Lamborghini stunt at Parliament. One day after Guyana's Vice President Barrett Jack Dio at his weekly press conference blamed the Commissioner of Police Clifton Ikin for allowing the We Invest in Nationhood leader Azuddin Mohammed for pulling up to Parliament in an uninsured Lamborghini. The police force is now going after all of his vehicles. On Friday, police vans reportedly drove behind his wife after she dropped the children into school in one of the Mohammed's vehicles and stopped her. She was instructed to drive to the police station where she was held for some 2 hours. After searching the vehicle, she was charged for driving an uninsured motor vehicle, obscure number plate, and other traffic offenses. Her court date was set for Wednesday, but police did not stop there. Ranks also held on to a driver who was sent to pick her up from the police station and charge him for tint and obscure number plate. We understand that the force is now on the lookout for other vehicles owned by the Mohammeds. Information reaching Kaito News is that the insurance companies have cut ties with the Mohammeds due to the OFAC sanction. However, the Win party leader is alleging high-ranking government officials had instructed the companies through middlemen to stop doing business with the Mohammeds because they are sanctioned. So I'll give you all a background there. Give you all a background. So as we say, what happened? First of all, let me say this. I hold no brief for the Mohammeds, none of them. And I believe that for Azuddin Mohammed or any one of the Mohammeds to be driving a vehicle or any vehicle on the road that is uninsured shows a total disregard for the laws. It shows a total disregard. It shows contempt. It shows arrogance. That is my belief. Because the vehicle and get insurance, you should not drive it on the road. But having said that, the police have to carry out the action in a lawful manner. And I'm saying this to you, that the manner in which they dealt with this vehicle on Friday is unlawful, totally unlawful, and I will explain. As I've said before, when we come on this program, we don't just make statements. We go to the law and we explain. Again, let me repeat that. Azuddin Mohammed and his father and his family members show total disregard for the law, social contempt for the laws of Guyana, shows a level of arrogance that should not be tolerated. But it can wait until Jack Dioga will tell you that he can only personally responsible for telling the police to trail the vehicle driven by his wife and then impound the vehicle, something that they have absolutely no authority to do, absolutely none. Now let me explain. Insurance. We talked about it on Friday. And then there was a debate as to whether it's 5 days or 3 days. You know, people say as to the how long you have. Well, I did the research. I did the research as I would normally do. And it is let me tell them, just sing the traffic chief and the king and them, because they don't read. They don't read. So when they get a political dog whistle from Jack D or anybody else, they just run. They're not check to see what the law says and what they should do. So they hear the dog whistle about uninsured vehicles driving on the road. They follow the vehicle out of the place and they pull them in. Dealing with insurance. And they're going to deal with the other offenses. Motor Vehicle Insurance Third Party Risk Act, Chapter 51:03, Section 6(1), right? Any person driving a motor vehicle on a public road shall, on being required by a member of the force, give his name and address, and the name and address of the owner of the motor vehicle, and produce his certificate. And if he fails to do so, he shall be guilty of an offense. Provided that if the driver of the motor vehicle within 5 days after the date on which the production of the certificate was so required, produce the certificate in person at such a police station as he may have been specified by him at the time his production was required, he shall not be convicted under this section of the offense for failing to produce his certificate of fitness. So what happened? What are you saying? As we had debated, we weren't certain whether it's true or false. The law is saying that if a policeman stops you on the road and make a demand for your insurance, you don't have to have it with you. But you have 5 days to produce it. And as we had said, you produce it according to what the law said. Let me read about to produce the certificate. He said, produce the certificate in person at such police station as he may have been specified by him. May have been specified by him. He's talking about the person, the owner of the vehicle, at the time of its production was required. So if you stop and you say, look, I ain't got my certificate, I can produce it at Blaymont Police Station. I can produce it at Anna Regina Police Station. That is what the law caters for. That is the law. You can't arrest a person. You cannot. The law does not allow that. But these jokers that we have, well, I'm blaming the junior ranks per se, It's them people in position, like the traffic chief and the commissioner them. Because the trailing of that vehicle on Friday and the impounding of the vehicle would have required instructions. When they hear Jack Dio blow the whistle, they shit the pants. Especially when Jack Dio, they can hood up on a tender leash. Past retirement age and sitting down there. When Jack Dio say, I can only personally responsible, oh God, toilet paper time. Toilet paper time. Jack Dio say, I can only, he can personally responsible. Toilet paper time. Now let me tell you what happened here. See, I can get a little batin just now. I can get a little batin. Hey, what happened here? We know the Mohammeds was sanctioned by the U.S. Right? Sanctioned by the U.S. We know too, now once it was sanctioned, the financial institutions in Guyana severed ties with them. They cut ties with them. So they ain't got no account at any bank. They don't have any insurance because an insurance company, all the insurance companies are regarded as financial institutions. So even, I'm sure they would have had insurance, or they may have had insurance, but because of this sanction, the people would have revoked the certificate of insurance, cut business with them, no longer cover them, right? All right. So that would have been the action. Now, once that was done, those vehicles got to be parked. You can't drive the vehicles on the road. And they got enough money so they could have hired car or a car or taxi, where you want, to come and pick them up and carry them where they want to take them. But to be driving those vehicles and say, carry your children to school and so on, is totally unacceptable. But there's a lawlessness that they grew up with the PPP. When they were in the PPP, nothing would happen. When they were supporting the PPP, nothing would have happened because they were part and parcel of this corrupt cabal, right? But now that they run afoul, or they are alleged to have run afoul of the US and all the things, PPP coming hard. And since Azuddin Mohammed wanted to be a politician, it's more pressure. And let me say this to you, Mr. Mohammed. You want to be a politician, you want to be the leader of the opposition, you might even want to think you're going to be president. You can't operate like if you're above the law. Cannot. And your family members cannot operate as if they are above the law. Let's understand this clearly. Let's understand this clearly. Now, all right, the vehicle is taken into the police, they say at where the old CID headquarters been. I didn't even know that is where Breakdown operating from now. And what they do, they say they search the vehicle, and then they impound the vehicle. On what grounds? On what grounds? You say you impound. In that case where you say, well, you find drugs or you find guns and all that other thing illegal, you are impounding the vehicle according to what they say because the vehicle get tint. The vehicle get obscure number plate. You have absolutely no legal authority to do so. What should happen? I listen, police listen, members of the public listen and be educated. If it is that the vehicle went there, and a licensing and certifying officer, not any rank and run-of-the-mill police, a licensing and certifying officer, and I don't think they have licensing and certifying officer at that place, because when I checked, the Breakdown traffic office is located at Rhineveld. So unless they took a licensing and certifying officer from Rhineveld, took him to Evelary to deal with this matter. The licensing and certifying officer should conduct an inspection of the vehicle. And if the vehicle is found to be in violation, it get tint with no permit, it get obscure number plate, the action is to revoke the fitness to the vehicle. You can't impound vehicle. You revoke the fitness. You serve a defect sheet on the driver for them to fix the defect. Now, hear this part. Hear this part. Once the fitness of the vehicle is revoked, of course, you got to tell them why it is revoked. Once the fitness is revoked, then the vehicle cannot drive out of the compound. Because the vehicle has no certificate of fitness, it cannot drive. But again, you can't impound. The owner, if he or she wants, can have a tow truck come and tow the vehicle to any place that they want it to go. Or they can bring a low bed and put the vehicle and carry it to wherever they want to take it. In other words, it can't drive on the road. But you cannot impound the vehicle for that. Even if it got police lights, Ral, or whoever, even if it got police lights, that is reasonable. Impound, there is a vehicle for revoke the fitness of the vehicle. Revoke the fitness of the vehicle, and once it is revoked, you serve them the defect sheet, they got to fix it. It can't drive. I have had that experience several times when I was traffic chief. You revoke the fitness, sometimes you used to revoke it for them and them big boom boxes. You revoke the fitness. And then they're going to tell you, say, well, they're going to bring something to pull it. You could bring something, but it has to be an authorized tow vehicle. I ain't allowing no other car or minibus or thing to pull it out. It has to be an authorized tow vehicle to pull it. Or you can put it on a low bed and take it wherever you want to take it. The point is, you have no legal authority to impound it. None whatsoever. None. I'm going to talk something more on this issue. Let me bring in CC for him to have his say. CC, have a go, man. Have a go.
Yeah, I agree with you, And the role of the licensing and certifying officer is critical. That's the person that got to deal with it. We got a little constable bringing the vehicle and say, hey, I bring in this vehicle, let's stay till I come back and them kind of thing, That it is a licensed and certifying officer has got to revoke that fitness. And as you mentioned, yes, the owner can come and put certain systems in place so that it can be taken away. Otherwise, to that, police would be wrong if they just keep the vehicle there all the time.
Now, I see again. Let me respond to certain things. Because it had police light. What is police light? What are police lights? Whatever you want to say. It has lights similar to what the police have, and look. Let me tell you something. This thing is so galling because enough businessmen, enough PPP supporters, all of them get red light, siren, and thing in the vehicle. Illegal. The law is clear. Those things are meant for emergency vehicles, and the law defines emergency vehicles as police vehicles, ambulances, and fire service vehicles. That's what the law said. No other vehicle, none, not authorized to have those lights and siren and all them type of thing. And I see people complaining frequently in the media and so on that look, you're going down the road, and then the next thing you see some vehicle coming, wah, 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 and light flashing. You don't know if it's police. You don't know who the people are. Many cases it's business people or people called business or some ordinary private citizens coming down the road. They install these things on the vehicle, and you got to take bush. You got to go off and take them. I know something about that. Let me say that because even with the police, the rule of the road is clear. I think it's section 40 or some 44, something like that. You have to drive on the left or near side. The police vehicle, many times, they're coming down with siren. Legitimate police vehicles with siren coming. Buddy, let me advise you. If you're a driver, don't just pull to the left side. Because sometimes it's like the side they're attempting to pass you. When they should overtake on the right side. You hear a siren? Let me give you some good advice. When you hear a siren, you should pull over. But you got to pull to the left side. But make sure that is not the side the vehicle is attempting to pass. Because I have seen on many occasions, they're coming and they all seem to pass you on the wrong side. So if when you hear the siren, you pull to the left side, where they are attempting to pass, because they're coming at speed, in many cases, it's a big accident you're going to get. Big accident. You should pull to the left, and they should pass on the right. But that don't happen. That don't happen. Right? So it's an old set of confusion in the place. And let me say this. And again, this is not easy to this is not difficult to detect. Look at some of the vehicles going around the place with siren, even police vehicles, policemen and women with vehicles, flashing light and siren, dark tint, obscure number plate, and all this type of thing. What they're doing. I saw over the weekend, Leroy Smith put up some there to show you the ones that were vehicle pulled in for obscure number plate and show you the number plate of the vehicles, far more obscure than the ones that they pulled in. You have to lead by example. You got to lead by example. And if y'all are going after the Mohammeds, again, I say, I although brief for the Mohammeds, because my story is, it is total lawlessness to know that you can't get insurance and you're driving for your vehicle and still driving them on the road. That's a total disregard for the laws of the land, right? What happened to the other sanctioned people like May Thomas, who would have had, I believe she would have suffered the same fate in terms of having the banks and insurance companies disassociate themselves with her. Is she suffering the same fate? That she get a vehicle that can be driven on the road? Or y'all are looking for that? What about the police officer Emnat Sa, who too is sanctioned as a drug trafficker? Is he getting paid through the banks? How is he being paid? And even if he's not being paid through the bank, the mere fact that you're paying him, isn't it that you're doing business with a sanctioned person? You gotta ask these questions. You have other people who were sanctioned. What is the position with them? What is the position? You single out the Mohammed because of politics. You have singled out the Mohammed. Don't matter you jump or you deny that. You single out the Mohammed because Mohammed is a politician. If he had remained an ordinary citizen, ordinary in brackets, all this would not come down. But you see him as an upstart. He wants to get political power. Counter Jagdeo, he believes that being in the opposition can absolve him or remove the charges. That's the other thing to say. Mohammed lived rent-free in their head. Mohammed, also did Mohammed in particular. What happened to Mayor Thomas and all of those persons? What happened? Other people who were sanctioned. Y'all care to tell us about that? As I've said, even when you come down to the same motor vehicle 5 days, yeah, and they have other thing in the same section, section 6 is 1 to 4 of the Motor Vehicle Insurance Third Party Risk Act. Learn it, traffic chief. Read it, commissioner, and understand that you can't. A person has 5 days from the time the demand is made. That would have been Friday. They got 5 days to produce a certificate of insurance. So you charge the wife to go to court on Wednesday, right? You charge your wife to go to court on Wednesday. And that is why these cases, because when the time come, I'm sure some like I make the thing. Can we tell you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday is 5 days. I don't know if they come Saturday and Sunday. When they produce it within the 5 days, then you can take action. That is what the law requires. You must comply with the law. As I've said repeatedly before, you cannot break the law to enforce the law. The law is there. Many times, as a senior police officer, you feel that the law is too restrictive. And what you got to do? You got to advocate for it to be changed, for amendments to be made. You can't make your own law. That is the sole preserve of Parliament. That branch of government, Parliament. Not you sitting down there in your ivory tower and decide because Jack Dio blow the whistle. But talking about blowing the whistle, having regard to the statement made by Jack Dio, I said earlier that let me pull it up here. I said that Jack Dio said Yolin Ikin personally responsible for allowing Azadin Mohammed uninsured Lamborghini. So y'all move on there. But in this statement by Jack Dio, you hear one frequency. There's another frequency. You are the frequency about the Lamborghini. But what about the frequency about holding you accountable and decide that you got to go home? You don't think about that? Because you look like you fed up. You know, they said use and dash ray. Use and dash ray. You know, they get many items and articles where you use and you dash ray. So they use you. They cannot reuse there, right? They use you, they dash ray. It's time Jack Dio must decide for you to catch your distance. So you can come out publicly Thursday and make a statement like this. That is not only the police force, he's only the commissioner personally responsible for allowing the Lamborghini. And maybe because it is alleged that you drove in it on at least one occasion. Right? Yeah, right. Somebody said reading might not be a favorite subject of this. And it's true. But get people to advise you, man. Get people to advise you. At least you can quietly call the vice president. That's all. We can't impound the vehicle. Because let me digress. Let me move on to say this. You know, if you got a blowback about the impounding of the vehicle, you know what they're gonna say? You know what they're gonna say? Well, we never told them to impound the vehicle. We told them, they even tell them nothing. They know better. Mr. Conway does always tell me about the statement of Gadraj in the COI with McDonald and all them things. He just tell you what Gadraj threw McDonald under the bus. That is what I'm going to say, that we did not tell him to break the law. We did not tell him that. We told him nothing. The president made a statement, even though we know that was a dog whistle, and it can run out. You're that frequency of the whistle. But again, not a frequency. Maybe higher pitch or low pitch. I'm not sure which say that maybe they're fed up with you. It's about time, because incompetence and all what's going on in the police force with all this sex scandal and all this out there. This police force has never been so scandal prone as since you can take over them. Brutus 252 criminal charges. You get all sort of other things, policemen, the Linden story, men getting killed, police charged with murder. You get the story at Region 1 where police couple there with some 15-year-old girl. You get the commander being investigated for fraud. What happened to the one? You get training, a training institution, big stinking allegation of sexual abuse and all them everything. You get your big, all them thing going on, all them thing under you, all them thing going on. And the policemen, apart from the time when McDonald was there, a lot of policemen dying now, more than any other time that I can recall. And you know, one of my favorite commissioners made a statement some time ago, many years ago, referring to Henry Green. When Henry Green is licking down Wilson Felix, he wanted the office. He said, Green is going to get what he wants. That is the commissioner work. He wants the commissioner work. And he said, Green is going to get what he wants, but he might not want what he get. Let me repeat that. So he might get what he wants. So you wanted the commissioner work, you undermine RP and all them, you get the work, but you might not want what you get. So now everything coming at you. Everything coming at you. If you can be embarrassed, you are for embarrass you. If you can be embarrassed. If you can be. Let me move on. Let me move on and bring in CC to make his comment on this. CC?
Yeah. Dog whistle. And as you indicated, you know, won't be surprised if the Commissioner Hicken should have been guided by the Constitution and its conscience. Commissioner Hicken should have been guided by the Constitution and its conscience. Full stop. End of the matter.
Yeah, you got it. Like we know the Constitution, and somebody asking the question, why he had to hold, why the Vice President had to hold, Hicken, the Commissioner, personally responsible, and not the traffic chief. You got to ask Jacques Dio that. I don't know. You got to ask that. But that is what, and here again, as I've said, a next clear case of the government, members of the government, interfering and giving instruction into the management of the force. They would deny it. But how else can you interpret that statement from Jacques Dio? How else? This is not a case of the man pick up a phone and shout and say, hey, this. The man publicly, as his press conference, so-called press conference, said he only can personally responsible. The only can personally responsible. And that is what you have. A lot of wrong. Again, I strongly believe that they didn't know what action to take. They get told about the vehicle being uninsured on the road. They don't know what is the correct police action to take. So this bullying thing, wrong and strong, impound the vehicle. When you have no legal authority to do so. No legal authority. But you impound it because you know you're going to get back in from the government, and that is what they want. For show, for belittle or for thing the Mohammeds. That is what they want. That is what, you know that is what they want, and therefore you do that. Regardless of whether it's legal or not, you do that. Right? Crisis.